All right, thanks, Nisha. Thanks for the introduction. Let me quickly share my presentation, which is, I promise, not very long. Just 1 second. So I hope everybody can see the presentation. This one is, even though, I'm the CEO of Port of Tanjung Pelepas, but today I like to speak on behalf of the MMC Corporation Perhat Group, especially MMC Ports, which is the largest port operator in Malaysia. And we just had Razif as the head of Johor Port Authority. We had Captain Supra, so it's a little bit Malaysian centric as well today. So what I like to do is, from a ports perspective, talk a little bit around sustainability. So to say, where do we work together? How do we work together with the different port authorities? But also at the same time, talking a bit what initiatives we we as the ports are doing over time to make our business more sustainable and fit for future. So therefore, what I would like to do is first talk a little bit about very quickly about MMC Ports. As I mentioned, largest port operator in Malaysia with 5 ports on the Malaysian Peninsula. 2019, last year, we did 14.3 million TEU, which is a more than 50% market share. We did nearly 38 million freight weight tons. So we are pretty much a heavyweight in the country. So that means we have also responsibility that for the country, that our ports working and very sustainable, and that because our ports are integral for the growth of the country, but also for the welfare of the people. So therefore, there is on the entire group a certain responsibility when it comes to sustainability, and that's what we're looking at. And as I said, I would like to share with you a little bit the areas we are doing and which area these are. It's actually based on, we took it from a group perspective on the United Nations Sustainability Program, but also on the World Port Sustainability Program. So with the 3 main pillars, and we have heard these ones before: economic, environment, and social. And where on the economic side, as I mentioned, we have the responsibility for the Malaysian economy, for the Malaysian people through a resilient infrastructure. Of course, governance and ethics, I think it's a topic which comes more and more important, especially here in Southeast Asia. I see, I'm very happy about a huge drive across a lot of countries towards anti-bribery, anti-corruption. So there is really a lot of government push and government will there, which is great to see. Of course, environment, climate, and energy, big topic and remaining big topic, not only for us as ports, but obviously also for our customers, the shipping community, and then the social part, the safety, security, but then of course the community outreach and the port city dialogue. So when we take these 3 pillars, I would just like to give a little bit, a few examples how we try to tackle them and how we try to make a difference on these sustainability pillars in Malaysia through our port group. And when I take the first pillar, which is the economic pillar, what we see here is several areas when it comes to economy. And on the right side, you see just the graph, which is not container, which is, even though the percentage is the same growth in our container growth, is actually the amount of workforce we have. And what you see there is that we actually, year to date this year, we are in our ports industry, we have close to 9,000 direct employees. So, and you can easily, when you take free zones and the community on top, so to say the indirect employment related to ports, you can easily come up to probably a factor times 3, I would say. So that easily, let's say around our ports, we are probably the bread giver for close to 25,000-30,000 people, if you then take the families on top. So it's a large responsibility, also an economic responsibility, because we producing also taxpayers to the country, and with these taxes, then of course the government driving initiatives. But you see also here in the under the economic pillar, for example, when we talk about reinventing the port, digitalization, this is areas, and some of my previous speakers have talked about it. I think Ports of Singapore is quite impressive also what's going on there, but also down here in Johor, I think what Razif shared, what we are doing, like the e-gateway, single window. I think Port Klang is moving. When we look port specific, let's say beyond also what we do together with the port authorities on digitalization, a good example there is that we upgraded to the latest terminal operating software. We did it last year during live operation, which was quite successful. So how does it help sustainability? And I'd like to give a small example there. We have a 5 kilometers jetty, and we moved last year 9.1 million container or TEU. We will move probably this year a few more than that. So we still, despite Corona, have an interesting growth story. So if we through our new terminal operating system are able to optimize our cargo flow on the terminal, and we would be able to save through an optimized cargo flow, through, let's say, a better algorithm, a better IT system, we would be able to save per TEU 100 meters an average on driving distance, because we just have a better way how we allocate the vessels and the yard, how we use the data we have available to use this data better. If you save 100 meter times 9 million TEU, that would bring us into a saving of 900,000 kilometers. So, and then this one turning into diesel saving for the prime movers, the trucks, and then into CO2 footprint saving. So that means there is also a direct link with regards to digitalization, how it can help us to also reduce our carbon footprint, but at the same time growing, and at the same time also creating jobs directly and indirectly, being also a catalyst for the export industry, creating jobs again in manufacturing. So there is a direct link from an economic point of view. And on top of it, is also, of course, also we talked about anti-bribery, anti-corruption. We have, as a group, the MMC group, which is the majority shareholder here in most of the port, in all of the ports, in PNPDP 70%, in the other ports 100% or close to 100%. The MMC group, as well as the sister company DRB Highcom, which is also a large group in Malaysia, very focused around automotive. They collaborated and signed together with the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Agency a bribe anti-corruption and bribe anti-bribery pledge last year in August, and all the ports have followed suit. So we have here also a very strong drive from the shareholder side to make sure that all the ports have signed up. We do a lot of anti-corruption, anti-bribery training, just to make sure the business goes as clean as possible. And that's also good to see that we also, as a senior management team here on the different terminals across the group, that we have, let's say, the support, but also the push from the shareholders to make this happen, and to say this is, we do business and we're aggressive in doing business, but we do it right and we do it ethical. And that's something I think is very, very important. And I can see that the group living up to that, to make sure that we do the business the right way. The second pillar from the three is the environmental side. Also, a lot has been talked about environmental in the previous presentations. Here are some practical examples. PDP, we actually having our most, I would say 80-90% of our yard is electrified. So we have therefore electrified RTGs, eRTGs. It's a massive amount of diesel we are saving, because using electricity through a bus bar system instead. We have in Johor Port, we have shutdown initiatives to minimize also their deployment and minimize fuel consumption. And in Penang Port up north, which is also, besides a large industrial cluster, it's also a large tourist place, as some of you probably know and went there. So therefore also there a lot of initiatives are very important to the state government there. So we replacing the conventional RTGs with hybrid RTGs. So in 2019, we had a saving of close to 52,000 tons of CO2, whilst at the same time our overall business across the country has grown by 3%. So, and this is only a start. So there's a lot of more initiatives going on decarbonization, and especially on the eRTGs. I can say we are probably the flagship in Malaysia, having these kind of technology. And this is not only since yesterday. I think this is already 7-8 years in the terminal. Waste management, Captain Subra from Port Klang talked about it. We have an integrated port reception facility. I think this is also one of his first ones in Malaysia, which is quite successful. We in PDP we modernizing our sewage treatment plant to the point that we look what can we do with wastewater, and is it really called wastewater afterwards, right? So that looking into rainwater harvesting, Joe Potter already talked about it. So a lot of these initiatives are going on. To the point that in all ports we have joined forces to replacement of traditional lights into LED lighting, which again is a longer lifetime. It creates less waste and saves energy, and on top of it, it gives a better light. And that's also feedback and we got from our operators in the ports, and that better light makes the operation and also safer. So it's a win-win. And I think the group is very proactive in going into future technologies, and all of these ports are already, some of them PDP is 20 years old, some of the other ports, Northport is more than 100 years old. So it's the transformation of existing facilities. So it's not we building new and put the latest gigs in. It's to say we have a status quo, and how can we during live operation and during a growth story, how can we turn this into really something, into a sustainability partner to our customers, but also to our government stakeholders. The last one is the social pillar, where what is very important for us, it's diversity, and that's something where we are looking into increased percentage of female employees, especially in non-traditional roles and frontline roles. And here we see a picture of some of our female colleagues driving container trucks on the jetty. So this is not a, let's say, so normal picture and not so usual probably in the country, but for us it is in a way normal. So we have quite a few female employees, and we doing it really structurally. That we said we want to try to take the barriers away for females and working in frontline jobs, because some of the ladies, when I talk to them, they said we are in the right job. We don't want to sit in the office and do accounting or do I don't know, HR or something like this. They really said, I want to be on the truck, and it's a pretty cool thing to move 40 tons across the terminal. And that's something we said we need to see, that we understand the reality of females, which is normal, which is, for example, when they get pregnant. So it doesn't mean automatically career ends. So we have, for example, now one of our female colleagues driving a truck. She, or the prime mover operator, she's pregnant, and that doesn't mean the career came to a stop. So we have decided she joins for a period the training community. So she is now a trainer during the pregnancy, and when she is and because she want to come back after giving birth, and then she will go back to the truck. So this for us also an example to show that you can stay as a female also in frontline jobs, also in Malaysia. So we got also attention from the government on this, but it's something we really want to drive, and we want to make it also sustainable, that this very classical male industry should be open up as well for female employees. The other one is the university partnerships, and this one I think is very important to say, despite Corona pandemic, despite the fact that we are in a recession and so on, we have made as a group, entire MMC Imports group, to say we continue our partnerships. We continue, especially now during difficult times, we continue offering internships. We making sure that we give young engineers, young graduates from universities, but equally important from polytechnics, giving them a chance to learn, giving them a chance to start as fresh graduates jobs. So this is going from Johor up to Penang, across the country, and we continue creating these jobs through partnerships. We're discussing Sibylis with universities, with polytechnics, to make sure it's more suited for the maritime industry. And that's not only for us in the MMC Ports group, this is for the entire maritime industry in Malaysia, so that we actually create the next generation of employees and future leaders. And last one, I think, which I personally quite like, is when we talking about sustainability, is that we actually signed up, and PDP started, but the entire ports are following now. PDP was the guinea pig, so to say. We signed up with the Malaysian social security system, SOCSO, and we actually have implemented in PDP a rehab center together with the Malaysian Social Security, with their therapists, with their physiotherapists. And what we're doing is, and the idea behind it is to say, when people which working 20, 25 years in the job on the front line, and there is certain certain health-related issues with the back or something coming up or the neck. So how can we make sure on the spot that we get the employees as quick as possible back to the machine? So because we don't want any medical board out, and we don't want ending up that too many employees ending up in light duty jobs, which of course are not as attractive for the employer, but also from a pay not so attractive for the employee, because normally overtime goes away, shift work goes away. So we're working together to make sure that employees stay maximum in their jobs. We get them through rehab back into the job and continue being taxpayer instead of that they get money from the social system. And on top of it, we do a lot of prevention programs to make sure that the ones which are fit today will stay fit until they reach the legal retirement age. And this is something which has also highest attention in the government, between the MMC group as well as the Malaysian government. High attention because they see just the value, and actually they came forward and said, can we do something together? Because it will save the country quite a lot of money, having these very skilled workforce in keeping them in the jobs. So when we talk about the social pillar, I think it's much more than CSR. I haven't shared any CSR initiatives. Of course, we're doing them as well. The ad hoc CSRs when there's any natural disasters like flooding and so on. Of course, we're supporting also during Corona. But I think much more interesting is these ones I just mentioned across the ports, that we really show that we are a partner, a sustainable partner also to the community and in Malaysia. And I think that's something I must say I'm also personally proud of, to see that the group takes these forward. I think that's pretty much from my side, and would like to hand back then.